In this video, I want to show you the report I got my hands on recently. We will dive into the massive dataset that powers GPT-5, the size and sources, and what it means for the future of AI. Spoiler alert, more than half of GPT-5 dataset allegedly is synthetic data, meaning data generated not by us humans, but by AI itself. There are three main leverages when it comes to success of AI projects. It's compute, algorithms, and data. If you would remove one of those and everything else would fall apart, that would be data. Previously, I worked in big data analytics companies, so data as a key component has become really interesting to me personally. For full disclosure, all the credit of this report goes to Alan Thomson. His memo newsletter has been my secret source for cutting through the noise. Alan has no clue that I'm making this video, so if you're interested to obtain full report, I highly encourage you to go subscribe to Memo. And according to Alan, the large component of GPT-5 data sources is synthetic data. His estimate is that it's not just half, it's 70% of a dataset. GPT-5 is the latest model from OpenAI and highly anticipated. Data quality and quantity directly impacts the performance of a model. GPT-5, if true, presents a giant leap forward thanks to its unprecedented data sources. I read the whole report and there are some very interesting assumptions or predictions. Alan also diligently provided the sources of information and reasoning why he makes estimates as he does. The work Alan did is very important because as large language models became more popular, that had direct impact on companies building these products and their transparency, what type of data they actually use. This comprehensive analysis looks at more than 27 datasets. And it's a little bit funny because compare this report to what GPT-4 technical paper gave us about data sources. All that we got to know was that they trained on publicly available data and data licensed from third parties. So think Microsoft and all the partnerships that OpenAI made.
We used publicly available data and licensed data.
So videos on YouTube?
I'm actually not sure about that.
The GPT-5 training has completed in 2024, and specific details about training dataset are undisclosed and probably will never be revealed. This report focuses on text datasets, but these companies, on top of text datasets, could be leveraging images, videos, audio, and even specialized datasets during training. Estimated size of GPT-5 is fourfold as compared to GPT-4. And we are entering this area of very large numbers, which is really hard to comprehend. I'm not going to go into the details of the whole report. I highly encourage you, if you're interested, to get it yourself. I want to talk about synthetic data. Up until the end of 2023, the use of synthetic data was not widespread when training AI models. Multiple researchers have displayed that they see the decrease of performance in models or artifacts when training on synthetic data. Examples were more specific to image models.
I've been wondering if anyone was going to write an article about AIs being fed its own effective data and what happens to it over time. Training artificial AI models on AI-generated text quickly leads to the models churning out nonsense, a study has found.
We are running out of human-generated data. The amount of data we create and the amount of data that we need for AI models to train is not linear.
I would not be surprised if GPT-5 is actually harder to make better comparatively than GPT-4 was to 3. And I think that will keep on happening because I think the availability of novel information and just the degradation of cannibalism will become harder and harder and harder. Not even diminishing returns, because diminishing returns suggests that as you put in, and diminishing returns typically suggest that something along the lines of linear or more, suggesting that the more effort you put in, the less your return is, right? So that'd be diminishing returns. My guess is actually is going to be inverse returns, meaning that to make something better is going to be harder because it turns into a Zoomer. It's just a bunch of deep-fried models.
Another thing is, as probably all of you imagine, that internet is already being populated by synthetically generated data.
This cannibalistic phenomenon termed model collapse could halt the improvement of large language models as they run out of human-derived training data and as an increasing amounts of AI-generated text pervade the internet, and which is part of the reason why I've been betting so hard against LLMs not being the end-all be-all of everything, is this right here, which is that right now, how much percentage of code do you think just last year was generated by Copilot? I bet you a good percentage of GitHub public repos are generated by GitHub.
Just think about it. Every time you get a response from ChatGPT, that's already synthetic data. Every AI image is synthetic data, every video, every piece of music. If acquiring data is hard, it is very costly, or you run into copyrighted issues and lawsuits, it just seems like the absolutely natural route is to go synthetic data. Because the byproduct of all large language models and generative AI creates synthetic data. To scale models to sizes that reflect something close to the human or at least a child, we need synthetic data. And I really think that we are one innovation away from algorithms where we can actually leverage all the synthetic data. If you want to learn more about AI and how this massive data set influences large language models and how LLMs work in general, Brilliant, the sponsor of this video, is really where you learn by doing in a fun way. They have thousands of interactive lessons in math, science, data analytics, programming, and of course, AI. They have a learning path on computer science and programming, or even how computers work, all the way down to their new immersive AI workshop called How Large Language Models Work. If you're interested to go deeper and learn in a fun and engaging way, to try everything that Brilliant has to offer free for full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/gottago or click the link in the description box below. You will also get 20% off on their annual premium subscription. Let's look at two companies generating synthetic data for training models. In October 2023, Microsoft sourced 6 billion tokens of human-generated textbook quality data from web and used a large language model like GPT-3.5 to generate another 1 billion tokens of synthetic data similar to new textbooks and exercises. Later, Microsoft increased this to 20 billion tokens of synthetic data. In March 2024, Hugging Face detailed an end-to-end process for generating synthetic text called Cosmopedia. Microsoft released their paper textbooks Are All You Need, and Alan shared two quotes. Microsoft curated 20,000 topics to produce 20 billion tokens of synthetic textbooks using samples from web datasets for diversity. Assuming an average file length of 1,000 tokens, this suggests using approximately 20 million distinct prompts. We will look into example of some of those prompts. They are targeting 4 distinct groups of people: young children, high school students, college students, and researchers. Leveraging 3-generation styles, textbooks, blog posts, and WikiHow articles, Hugging Face created over 30 million prompts from Cosmopedia. Here you can see some of the prompts directed at kids, students, and professionals. Here are some of the synthetic data topics from the original GitHub page of Cosmopedia. And of course, report also provides what are those topics. I want to pause here and talk about one concern and challenge when considering synthetic data. When we train models on human-generated data, everyone knows that we also train those models on inherent bias and prejudice towards certain groups of people or certain events. If one topic has way more coverage than another, large language models prioritize that topic or that specific opinion. When we train on synthetic data, it means it's curated. Whoever controls that 70% of the synthetic data and what topics that data has or how the prompts were designed, they are directly influencing or really changing the history. Because just think about it, you can either invent a topic or insert some topics that are relevant today or relevant to one political group into the dataset. This poses questions about ethics and who is behind doing that. On one hand, it could be great because then maybe that's a way to fight biases and prejudice. On another side, it becomes a very powerful tool for mass propaganda, like propaganda you have never seen in your life. So yeah, this is the main chart. 70% of synthetic data as projected by Alan and his research. If we remove synthetic data, web data, like publicly crawled data, would account to 50%. There's a new common crawl dataset, and Alan included all the companies that participated in gathering that dataset, so that's interesting. We see Apple, Toyota, Stanford, obviously, Contextual AI, SynthLabs, interesting. But the other interesting part of the web data is Reddit. I think it's no surprise to anybody. It consists of posts that primarily includes outbound links, offering insights into the type of content shared by users. But OpenAI also focused not only on quantity but quality. The estimate is that out of the whole Reddit dataset, they used 2%. And when it comes to Reddit, they also looked at posts and also the comments for sentiment analysis. My favorite, YouTube, considers YouTube as the textual data, the transcripts and the metadata. As of 2024, there are 14 billion YouTube videos, counting strictly publicly published videos.
If they were publicly available, publicly available to use, there might be the data.
Based off this massive data increase, mostly thanks to synthetic data, but also the partnerships that OpenAI established, and their best friend, Microsoft, the GPT-5 could be 5.4 trillion parameter dense, or 27 trillion parameter sparse. And you can learn about density and sparsity of the models using Brilliant. GPT-5 is expected to have multi-model capabilities. To put that in a perspective, GPT-3, the first model in ChatGPT, had 175 billion parameters. It's really hard to comprehend what this significant and massive increase in the model size could mean to all of us. We are moving from raw data sources to synthetic data. The use of synthetic data is going to increase more and more. Please leave your comments below. What do you think about this approach? Any concerns? Or you are just excited to get an insanely larger model? I called data in one of my previous videos the black gold. If you want to learn more about how companies use that data, but also how you can use that data as well in your projects, check out that video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.